your patience in all of this. It's not a bad setup for those of you who are interested in being a influencer in the future. Bill, I can hear you. I cannot hear you for some reason, and I cannot find the unmute. So I'll do my best to get that fixed. But I just want to respect everyone's time, so I want to start with the presentation. So let me start with that, and let's get going here. Okay. So again, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm going back and forth here, but I want to make sure. Yeah, we are recording, so we're off and running here. All right. So if you have any questions, type it into your chat box. I've already gotten quite a list of questions here already from people through Facebook messaging and on email. So I appreciate your questions. And as soon as I figure out how to get Bill on this webinar as well, I'll do that. Let's get into this. So the first thing I want to cover with you is what is possible for you in this webinar. So you're in the right place if you're ready to become a sought-after influencer in your area of interest. Now, you may have varied interests in the technical area. You may have interest in arts. We have had clients ranging from anywhere from basket weaving right through people who have perhaps more sophisticated businesses, and I'm not trying to put down basket weaving in any sense, but quite a wide variety of interests, as you can imagine. You're also in the right place if you're looking to shatter your income ceiling. If you have an income ceiling right now and you want to have more income coming in, you want to enjoy more freedom, especially for time, and you want to rise to some prominence in your expertise in your area, then you're definitely in the right place. You're also in the right place if you're tired of not having a clear pathway to success and more income. You're not seeing your daily, weekly, and monthly efforts add up to breakthrough results. Some of you may just be starting out. Some of you may have been doing this for a couple of months or a couple of years, and you may be hitting a plateau, as Bill and I have in the past. We want to show you how you can get out of that for yourself. If you're tired of seeing people less qualified than you make good, become more wealthy or more famous, or at least more well-known than you, and if you're tired of seeing that, then you're certainly in the right place. Again, I've been there. I've seen people like that in the past. And sometimes obviously your envy comes up and the jealousy comes up. But more importantly than that, it's really the most important thing is that your self-expression is accomplished, right? And that's probably some of the deepest dissatisfaction, I should say, for a lot of people, is that their self-expression, their ability to express themselves, their expertise and what they are good at is not fully utilized. If you're tired of spinning your wheels with random actions, projects, and ideas with no solid results, then again, you're in the right place. Okay, so we're going to cover that as best as you can. And I'm going to do a lot of multitasking here while I'm staying present with you. I have the capacity to do that, but bear with me. Sometimes I might be distracted as I'm checking the chat box, etc. So first things, a little bit about me and Bill. My first name is Sunil, S-U-N-I-L, and Bill Belew is my business partner. And we've been working together for now for actually about a year or so, planning this and really incorporating this. Myself personally, I've been engaging audiences worldwide for about 24 years, since 1991. I've spoken at the Professional Conventional Management Association, which is the creme de la creme of speaking opportunities, trained at Cisco and other companies like Principal Financial, Comerica Bank, and spoken in other countries as well. And I've written 2 books. One is called More Money, More Time, Less Stress. And the other is a little bit more autobiographical about how to get through challenges in your life. So still am a former radio talk show host, and an audience of about 100,000 people, and mentored thousands of entrepreneurs. Very proud to say, in the last 24 years, and I've grown my networking to about 20,000 professionals. Why am I saying all of this? Well, I want to give you a sense that you're not talking to people who don't know what they're talking about here. We've gone through the the ladders, every inch of that ladder we've gone through, the pains, the struggles, the efforts that most people are going through, the failures to launch, trying to figure out what to do first, what to do second. So we want to give you a sense of that. Bill is a PhD and a professor of social media marketing in Silicon Valley. His site's at more than 90 million hits, unique visitors total. He has a meetup reach of about 13,000 members in all his meetups. And he's also, like me, a much sought after speaker on the social media and content marketing circuit. And he's spoken and will be speaking in China, South Africa, Southeast Asia, and also within the Bay Area of Northern California. I probably missed a whole bunch of countries here, Bill, so forgive me. I want to give you a real life case study. This is a client I had a while back, and I'm sharing this again to give you a sense. It's not bragging rights. It's really about giving you a sense, because a lot of people have emailed me and say, how can I make this work? I really want to see this become successful, get out of my corporate job if I need to, if I have to. How do I do all that? Well, Charlotte Jacobs is a real life case study for me. She tripled her income within 3 months, and then she went on to become a $1 million mentor, award-winning. She still makes the order of a couple of $1 million with her husband every year. She was really stuck. I mean, she was really on the borderline of being quite broke, putting groceries on credit cards, etc. I promised her that she would triple her income in 90 days. And I fulfilled that promise. And, that's how Bill and I like to work with people, is we like to roll up our sleeves and really get to work with people. And I'm going to share with you today some of the things that really made a difference and makes a difference for running a business, creating a blog, making it successful, becoming an influential person. It takes quite a bit, but it's really more straightforward than most people think. See, that's the key thing. There's a reason why only 1% of entrepreneurs make it. I'd like to increase that number for people. I think it is sustainable. I think there's plenty of space for more people to be successful. And so I'm going to share a lot of things that I work with Charlotte Jacobs and other clients. And I'm going to show you case studies that Bill and I have had over the years. Okay. So again, Bill and I have been there too. And we've created breakthroughs. And a breakthrough is really an unpredictable, off-the-chart result. But an interesting thing about a breakthrough, it's predictable on hindsight. After it's done, you go, well, that was straightforward. It wasn't like, it obviously is complex to a certain degree, but it's not as complicated as most people make it out to be, or not as hard. In fact, it is a lot more straightforward than what most people are doing, which is running around in circles. So you could say that, Bill and I have cracked the code on how to create breakthroughs and becoming influential. And I would say even in bad circumstances, if you have a really tough set of circumstances right now, it may be in your favor because there's a lot more push for you to do something. And those of you who are a little comfortable, you may actually have to look at that lesson and go, what is it that I need to push beyond where I'm at? Because part of the reason you may be spinning circles is because it's a little comfortable, You may have to make yourself a little bit more challenged. So when I first started out in 1991 as a shy Indian engineer, I could not dance. Could not dance and chew gum is what my mentor used to tell me at the same time. I had no business experience, no sales experience, no confidence in creating and fulfilling dreams. My mentor taught me the ropes. He was a very rigorous business owner, a very conservative business person. But he taught me the ropes, and I'm going to share some of those distinctions today. Okay. To make a long story short, the good news is, in 1992, I won a ballroom dance competition after 3 months of practice. I had never danced before in my life. 3 months, I won first prize in tango, waltz, and foxtrot. Southern Orange County ballroom dance champion, beginners level, after 3 months. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to share how I did that and how I applied a lot of that in my finances. In 1996, again, to make a long story short, I had a breakthrough in my finances, and I traveled the world I dated a lot of great people, including a very famous actress. My bucket list was literally done in 19, halfway through 1996. In 1999, actually between 96 and 99, I shifted gears and worked in nonprofit fields for a while, raised and leveraged hundreds of millions of dollars via the US government and the private donations to support what's called microcredit and the ending of hunger. Quite an extraordinary time. Not bad for a shy Indian engineer, shout out. And then I said, well, now what? So in 2000, I created a coaching business. And the first week, I had a full clientele, unheard of. Again, applying these principles. 2008, I had a huge breakdown, huge meltdown breakdown, because I had taken some risks and I had forgotten some of my lessons, and I took some risks and lost a lot of money. And like a lot of other people, I'm sure. No excuses, but it happened. And I felt like a failure. I felt like I didn't learn anything. I felt like it was hopeless. But it was a very, very tough time for me, my wife, and other people that I knew who were in the business with me. But using the distinctions I'm going to present to you again today, climbed out, regained confidence and traction again to a six-figure income and building more and more every year. So I started meetups in 2008 I had one group with 50 people. Today, the combined reach with Bill is 13,000. Individually, by myself, that one group actually grew to currently today to 1,700 people. It's a fairly large. In fact, it's one of the largest small business non-tech meetup groups in the Bay Area. If you were to Google, networking events or business networking events in San Jose, my meetup comes right up to the top. We're growing at about 800 people per month. There's a lot of other stuff I can share. I'm not going to get into that, but you get the sense. Okay. And again, I want to share with you. I'm sharing all this with you because it's imperative to understand this process and where it can lead you to. So today, what we're going to present is the blueprint to your desired results and critical mistakes to avoid, to ease, and eradicate suffering. The longest PowerPoint title in the history of mankind, but really I'm going to present the blueprint as best as I can in this limited time. And I'm going to just take a bit of time here to check and see if there are any comments, etc. I'm not seeing any. Actually, let me see here, Q&A. Okay, I think everybody can hear me. Great. Okay. And yeah, Bill, I'm showing the editable version because I don't want to, actually, you know what? I can just probably just do that. And well, how about that? So Bill, there you go. Ask and you shall get. So I'm going to cover the blueprint, like I said. And there are 3 points I want to cover. Okay. And in order of increasing priority, the number 3 one, the lowest priority, it's not really the lowest priority. They're all quite important. They're critical parts of this. But I would say the number 3 one is you got to create some fuel in your execution or your ability to get stuff done on a day-to-day basis. The real good entrepreneurs that I know don't muck around. They get stuff done every day. They learn how to delegate. They don't go into the lone wolf mode unless they need to. Absolutely, they pay attention to how they can best leverage their time and make sure that they execute on a day-to-day basis in a very focused and clear-minded manner. And that pertains to the best startup people that I've worked with who are consistently funded, who are successful serial entrepreneurs, right to people who I know literally who are billionaires, who I've met, through people who are effective in doing what they do. They may not be in the business field, but they're highly effective business leaders. All the same premises I'm going to share with you. Now, some of you are going to listen to this and it may be look like a little too much. I promise you it's not. Really, it's a lot easier than what you're doing right now. It probably is. Okay, so the first one is the fuel on your day-to-day execution. The second is what I call the math of the engine. And this is my version of Bill's explanation of why our program really works in terms of social media marketing. There's simple math behind it. And if you follow the math the way it's designed, then you will be successful. But if you don't follow the math, then you're fighting the mathematics. Kind of a difficult thing to do, unless you live in the world of Oz, a made up world, a fantasy world. But if you're living in a world of real business, then and real science and math, then you got to follow the math. Okay. And the first number one thing, drum roll, is a solid concrete design of your engine. You got to have a sound economic engine for putting your blog together. It's got to make sense. It's got to appeal to people. It's got to have a sound target market, or at least an effort to find that target market. It should be highly intentional to do so as quickly as possible. Okay. A couple other things I'm going to give. There's a bonus gift at the end of the webinar, so make sure you stay for the end of the webinar. It's a very cool gift. Some of you could save you a bit of money and time and energy and pain. The promise to you today is show you how to get support and make this real. And I'll share everything I can with you in the time we have. Okay, great. And then, feel free to keep chatting and not chatting, but actually asking questions in the chat box. And I'll check that from time to time. All right, so let's get into the content here. Number 3 challenge is, for most people, is in the day-to-day build-up or the day-to-day execution. Most people have unrealistic expectations. Now, what this does from a brain science point of view, and this is very concrete brain science, is that when you have unrealistic expectations and you fail to meet them on a day-to-day basis, your dopamine levels go down. It's a downward spiral. Dopamine is a biochemical in your brain that keeps you motivated, that keeps you going. You know that you're on track for something. If you keep having unrealistic expectations every day, I'm going to get 15,000 things done. You're not going to get that done. Your dopamine is going to go down over time. And now you have a consistent practice of having low dopamine. It's a ridiculous, insane way to live your life and to execute your business or your projects. The second point I want to make is the working day part, day-to-day part of your brain, the part of your brain that's responsible for most day-to-day work, is this part of your brain called your prefrontal cortex. Now, a lot of you have heard this before in some of our presentations that Bill and I have done, but you want to hear this really newly because a lot of you are not taking on the practice. You got to take on the practice, otherwise it just becomes nice little stories, right? So the working part of your brain is very limited, actually. The rest of your brain is quite efficient, but the prefrontal cortex here, this part of your brain, every time you make a decision or you switch from one task to another, your blood glucose level drops. Gives you less energy, and glucose, by the way, is also used to create more neurotransmitters. So you got a problem here. If you're switching tasks, getting distracted, doing all kinds of stuff, trying to make a lot of decisions in a day that you don't really have to make, you're burning yourself out and you're leaving less brain resources for the things that are most important. Most people will resist the things that you got to get done on your blog or your content marketing to move yourself forward. You're not doing that. And if you're not doing that, you're setting yourself up for failure. I guarantee you it. Unless you're lucky and you hit the lottery. I wouldn't bank on it, hitting the lottery, that is. You want to look at shifting your habits. So this is very expensive. There's a famous study that was done to find out how, it's done very rigorously scientifically using beepers. They beeped people randomly and had them do a survey, a very quick survey, see what they were thinking of at that point. Most people were trying to resist a distraction or a desire. And that was about 4 hours per day. About half your workday is spent in distraction. Now that's quite a lot of time and energy if you think about it. And if you're creating a blog or content marketing, if you're distracted that much, imagine what you could do if you added back at least some percentage of that 4 hours back to your day, right? It's very expensive also in the sense that opportunities are lost, because if you're burning yourself out, you can't hear the opportunities. You won't have the bandwidth to go out and do research, talk to other people, make connections in a creative manner that will give you better ideas and not stupid ideas that you think you should run with and do. You have a more clear idea of what you should do in terms of good ideas and what sounds like good ideas, but you should not do. So you become a better innovator. Critical when you are trying to do a business or becoming an influencer. So opportunities are lost. Huge risk. The biggest risk for most people, and most people have no idea how many opportunities they're losing. Most of us don't really, but because there's so many opportunities, right? But if you have a better managed day, you can probably be more present, able to listen to those opportunities and respond to them. Hope that makes sense. Okay. The rewards are more free time. That's what I've seen, more productivity, more focus, and innovation for breakthroughs. Very critical to have as an entrepreneur. Why become an entrepreneur or a blog writer? Get away from your corporate job when you become more of a slave to your time. It doesn't make any sense, right? If you're spending so much time trying to run a business, something's off. You want to reach out and get some help to turn that around as quickly as possible. The rewards are also that you fulfill in your greatest potential. And this is super critical if you want to avoid burnout, clear a path on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Hope that makes sense. Okay. I want to give you a case study here, a real case study. Terry Taylor, a client of mine, we started with her being in quite a state of overwhelm. I mean, she had like 3 businesses and like about 20 projects every week, and a lot more than that every month. I mean, it was just too much, and a lot of it was just not adding up to her, making a sound profit and having joy in her life. What we ended up with her in terms of results was, I know some of this is a little badly spelled, is my mistake. She became more calm, more organized, 30% more productive, and that's very conservative. Some weeks that it was way more productive. She was taking up a lot more time off to be with her horses, with her granddaughter, and just enjoying life in general. Gain of about 10 to 12 hours a week, and making a very healthy income, more than sufficient to run things and have a very good life. In what I'm offering today in this presentation, I want you to listen for how this will make a difference for you in terms of reducing the amount of time, getting more results, getting you to where you need to be, okay? Okay, so we're going to get into more of the math of the engine. And I know Bill might be pulling his hair out here at this point with my explanation of this, but this is my version of this. I think it makes sense. For most people, when it comes to really running the business of a blog or getting more people to come to them, the gap is in the strategy, tactics, and execution. And the gap is between what they're doing in terms of strategy, tactics, and execution, and what the strategy, tactics, and execution should be when you follow the math, logic, and pain points of the customer. So it's math, logic, and pain points. So what do I mean by that? There are a couple of salient points, facts about search engines. They're really dumb engines. They're programmed by human beings. They follow very strict algorithms. They don't depart. They don't have a bad day or a good day. They just follow rules and regulations that are programmed, and they follow logic and math. So there are procedures, checks, and conditional actions. Okay. So a couple of these. The first point is strong storytelling, but the math logic part is really in points 2 through 6. Quantity, total number of posts. So you want to ask yourself where you're at right now. How do you rate against the bare necessary 400 articles that are at least going to get you on the map, that will get you to the point where you start being recognized by Google and other search engines? So it's a total number of posts you got to start looking at. Now, this is going to vary from person to person depending on your market. So that's why you got to have a strong storytelling component where your stories and your case studies, point number 1, are compelling enough. They're converting sufficiently for you. It actually makes sense that people can see, okay, this is the pain point. I got to do something. I got to work with this person. Right? Even if you have an artist website or blog and you're interested in intriguing people, and you have to do that kind of work. You have to find out what people really need. It's not just the solutions that you're going to give away. You don't want to give away all the solutions. You want to make sure that people get intrigued enough so they're compelled enough to come and work with you. Not everybody may, but you want to find those special people who will give you, and they will work with you, and they'll give you very little grief or less grief, and they'll pay you a lot more money, and it's a lot less work, and more free time, and it's the true entrepreneurial life. Um, I live here in lovely downtown Santa Cruz. You may be able to see my bamboo patch out there through the window. And I get to walk out and enjoy my time and then come back and work very intensely when I choose to. And that's the way you want to work. You don't want to be frazzled. Some of you are working part-time. You can still work part-time and still be effective in your blog. But you want to be making sure that your engine is sound. And one part of that is to make sure that your story that you tell is compelling, that your stories and case studies create a very clear pain point that people want to resolve, and that you can create those solutions for them and give it to them. And you want to do that in a very concise manner. Quantity already covered. Quality, again, are your posts appealing to the pain points, solutions, and relevance? Do they have engagement tactics? Are you engaging them with questions that make sense? What is missing for you in the quality in your blogs or your posts? It's a question you want to ask yourself right now. What's missing right now? What's the gap? How can I close that gap soon? Consistency is the next factor mathematically. How frequently you post and update. Are you updating your blogs and content daily or weekly? Our meetups that Bill and I do update at least 800 times a month for the new people joining. Every time someone joins, there's an update on the page. Google goes, wow, there's something going on in that site. We've got about 9 times 2, about 18 sites between the two of us, probably more than that. So imagine, all those sites are getting updated every day, and about 800, at least 800 times a month, plus, all the events that my staff and Bill's staff are posting, sometimes every week, plus the 10 to 25 people who are RSVPing for various events. It gives a lot of activity that's occurring. Google likes that. Google goes, oh my God, this is a really nice thing, right? Remember, Google's a dumb little engine that was programmed by smart human beings in a very rigorous manner. You've got to understand the math, and we're giving you the math, or at least part of the math, as best as we can in this time frame. Longevity is the next factor. How long have you had these sites? So, Bill and I have had these sites, some of our sites some of our sites are like 10 years old, 15 years old. The meetup sites are at least 7 years old right now. So if you've got longevity, if you have longevity on your competitors, and all these other factors are better than your competitors, then you're going to see your site moving up in the rankings. Now, we're not guaranteeing that, okay, because it depends on a lot of factors. But if you do this work, you're going to create upward pressure on your site moving up those rankings, and that's important to do, okay. And you have to do this analysis. I mean, if you do all these numbers, consistency, quality, quantity, longevity, better than your competitors. One of the things that I work with my clients when we first start is to look at your competition and see how we can outdo them. Where are they weak? Where can we exploit the weaknesses and do better than them? I did some work for an Indian restaurant a couple of weeks ago just on a friendly basis. And I was astounded to see all the weaknesses in the other Indian restaurants, even though they had been around longer than my friend's Indian restaurant. It's amazing how, with a little bit of research, directed and focused, you can find those kinds of things. Save you a lot of energy and work and suffering. Again, if you don't do this, you'll not only fail, but you'll actually give up on the opportunities to have something great occur. Okay. So a couple of case studies here taken from Bill's website. This is some great work that Bill did with some MBA students locally here in the Bay Area. And so there was one site in particular, and this person had a website about travel to Nepal. And you can see that we went from 0 to 23, almost close to 24,000 page views in 4.5 months. Now you'll see that, if you can see my mouse, the first few months, it's almost like flat. And that's to be expected. I think that Bill calls this the sandbox. It's a time when you're doing a lot of work, you're posting stuff, and some of our clients will go, well, hey, we haven't seen anything yet. Well, but you're building. Google is still paying attention to this. And then at some point, Google goes, okay, critical mass. Wow, this is good. You've gotten a lot of articles. This guy is really consistent. We're going to bump him up here, give him more exposure. You can see it went up and up. and there's more of an upward uh, progression here. Yeah, and that's what we want to create for you. If you're not creating this, then if you're not even measuring your results, and you want to start doing that very soon with us. Another case study, number two, website about arts and crafts went up to about close to about 29,000 page views in about 4.5 months. Third case study, again, this one went from 0 to about 36,000 page views. And it's a website about healthy eating, which is a little stronger market. You know, healthy eating, dieting, cholesterol, etc. are, you know, tend to get a lot of hits, a little more hits. Again, you know, so we had a little bit of spike. This person, I think, had gotten their friends to join. That accounted for a spike, but you see, it went right back down. And then she started doing the work that Bill told her to do at some point. And then within about 2-3 months, it started spiking again in a more healthy and upward trend manner. And this is the trend that we want to start creating. Okay, even if it's a gradual slope, it's good. It's better than not having a slope. So I hope that makes sense. So, you know, you want to follow the math, the engine. A couple of testimonials here for Bill. In the space of only a couple of months, our blog traffic doubled. Our AdSense earning became more than 2 times in terms of return on investment. Another one, and that's from LJ from eBay. It probably works. He did an entrepreneurial thing with eBay. The other person here, Richard from Fremont. When I met Bill, could barely spell blog. But his blog, it went up from a vague dream to one of the top 1% blogs worldwide. Okay, so good praise indeed. I want to quickly show you, for those of you who are interested in jumping ahead, give me 1 second here, the website that you can go to apply for a very influential person VIP strategy session. And this website is www.myvipss.com. And a lot of people have been asking me about this already, so I'm just going to tell you. You can go to this site, again, myvipss.com, myvipss.com, and scroll right to the bottom and fill out this form, and then click the submit button. Make sure you click the submit button at the bottom, and then we'll respond. And if we approve your application to have a free session with us, we'll work with you for about an hour and help customize a really cool plan for you, or at least get you through some of the bigger humps that you may be dealing with. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving right along here. So we went through the case studies, and now we want to go to number one, the biggest, probably most important thing that most people miss, and that is that you want to create your vision, strategy, and objectives first. Now, you may not get all this perfect the first time around, but it's important to at least have a rough direction of where you want to go in terms of vision, strategy, objectives. Most people start by just trying anything, random ideas, random tactics here and there that they've heard. Oh, I'm going to try a Facebook thing. Oh, let me try a Facebook. And they spend, talk to somebody, spend about $1,000, about half the available budget she had for the next 6 months for her business, which is crazy, on Facebook ads, and she got zero. Okay, you don't want to do stuff like that. You want to avoid burning yourself out too soon. So you want to start with the vision, strategy, and objectives. So a lot of people, again, are attracted by the shiny object syndrome. You know, they see a webinar and they go, "Ooh, I got to go do that." And of course, we're doing a webinar too, but we're trying to train you to do it a little differently. You want to be smart about where you want to apply your time and your energy, right? So there's no attention on return on investment versus risk. You know, you want to look at your vision, strategy, and objectives first. Figure out what your return on investment is, what it should look like, how much you want to invest, or how much money you want to make back, in what time frame, and what are the risks you're willing to take, and how much you're willing to invest in time and energy and money. You want to be clear about all that. So what do I suggest you do? Well, the first thing you do is you want to really explore your target marketing. What do I mean by that? Certain steps you want to do to define your target market, the kinds of people you want to interact with. What are the specific problems? What are the specific solutions that you can provide? Maybe already the people you work with that you enjoy working with, but you want to define it. You want to define those people as a demographic. What kind of people, how old are they? What kind of jobs do they do? Fairly complicated. Again, if you come and do a session with us, we'll explain how to do that, okay, and can clarify for you, customized to you and what you need. You got to find out what your customers want. So if you don't know what your customers want, you're shooting in the dark. Now, the truth is, you're not going to find out exactly what everybody wants, but you're going to find out, like Bill and I have, what the people that we really like to work with want. And a few of you, the people who are hardworking, industrious, ambitious, they want to get ahead. They may be starting out, that's fine. They may be in the midterm of their business, but they're at a plateau and they know they're at a plateau and they realize that to get to the next level, they got to invest time and money and energy with someone who can really get them there and no kidding, get them there. When I first started with my coach, I realized that very quickly. I needed to spend money. I spent $1991, $1,000 per month with my coach. But I looked at it and I said, in 3 to 6 months, I want to get a 5 to 6 times return at least. And I made more than that with my coach. And I told my coach that's what I wanted. And he said he would get me there, contingent of me doing a lot of work, which I did. Okay. Those are the people that you want to work with, I would recommend. But it may be different for you. You want to define it for you and yourself better. Okay. So what are the the third thing you want to do is to create a plan. Again, you don't have to have a wholly detailed plan. You want to have at least a rough set plan with milestones every month, etc. Again, if you come on our strategy session, we'll show you exactly how to do that. You want to master the art and science of execution, do the opposite of what I was talking about in terms of the brain in the first part of this webinar. What does it cost you? If you don't do this, it's going to cost you confidence, burnout, stress, money, results, success, and long-term suffering. So the million-dollar question is, how long will you keep suffering with distraction and impulses? We're going to move along here pretty quickly here. I know some of you got some questions. I'm going to try and get to that as best as I can, okay? So the difference making decisions, how can I get support and create a breakthrough? And that takes some investment. And again, you want to go to the My VIP strategy session. I see some of you are actually already going there. That's great. You want to go to that website, myvipss.com. You'll see a delightful picture of both of us. And then scroll right down, you'll see the form. You can actually click on those little text boxes, type in detail. Give us good details. Give us some information about what your challenges are, what your objectives are, where you want to go, in what time frame, and answer all those questions rigorously. We'll really vet these forms, and we're going to discard the ones that are not giving us enough information. Make sure you fill it out well. Press the submit button at the end, and then we'll respond within 48 business hours, okay, to you, which will be Monday, at end of Monday at the very latest. So make sure you do that. The special bonus gift for those of you who are on the call, and see some of you are on, very simple. We're going to give you free entry to our networking and training event in Los Altos, California, this Monday, July 20th, 2015. It costs $15 to come in per person, but if you come in for you and your guest, one guest, we will waive the entry fee. And just mention that you were at our webinar. So just with the password at our event on Monday, just say or whisper in our ear, I was at the webinar on Friday, okay, and we won't charge you, okay? That's a special bonus gift. At that session, we're going to deepen some of the points that we talked about here, and of course, you get to interact with us face-to-face and get more of the question answered. Okay. I want to get to, again, make sure you go to our myvipss.com and fill out the strategy session. We're only going to take those applications today for this call, okay? And so make sure you fill it out and send it in to us. So a couple of lessons to summarize today. First thing is strategy first. You want to think of a strategy and a plan first. Don't jump into action willy-nilly. Don't try all these crazy ideas that you got to spend money on. Think through it first. Get a mentor, dialogue through it. Make sure it makes sense. Test your target markets. Again, we can show you how to do that, all that in a strategy session. I'm not trying to evade the question. I'm just trying to really give you a summary here. Second is follow the math of the engines. We'll have again, if you're not clear about that, come on a strategy session and we'll answer all those questions for you. Third thing is manage your day-to-day execution, very critical. So a couple of questions I already got here. I want to cover that, some of those questions with you. So one of the questions people asked was the practices for the day-to-day. Can you suggest some practices for the day-to-day stuff? Yeah, I can. First thing to do is to make sure that you manage your time well. So what do I mean by that? Some of you don't even have calendars. You want to get a calendar, either a paper-based calendar, but preferably an electronic calendar. The second thing I would do, the best practice you can ever take on is what we call the rule of four. It's what I do with all my top-notch and other clients as well. Is every day, every week, every month, you have four top high priority objectives that you identify. Now, there's some tricks to this, but I'm going to give you the top-down idea. Come up with 4 objectives every day at least. 4 objectives, the 4 top priorities. Block out times in your calendar to make sure that you can hit those objectives. Put it preferably earlier in the morning rather than later in the day. Now, you can split it out if you don't have the time. Some maybe 2 objectives early in the morning, 2 objectives maybe in the early evening part. Typically, for most people, those are the most productive times. Again, this varies. If you're working with us one-on-one in a coaching program, we can actually help you track that and actually find it. It's very cool. You start noticing when you're most effective in a day and week, in fact. So if you do that, just pick your top 4 as a start. Fantastic habit to start creating. Okay. The math at the end. The next question is the math. How long does it typically take to generate those results? I would say to get to some of the results we described, conservatively 3 to 6 months. Okay, and you probably want to plan for 6 months. For most people, again, if you come on a strategy session, we'll be able to tell you a little bit more in detail because it depends on the nature of your market. Now, you may not hit those goals. If you don't hit those goals, at least you find out that you've got the wrong product, you're in the wrong business. Some people have found that out, but we saved them like hundreds of thousands of dollars, because literally, and maybe years of work. If you really don't have a market, you want to find it out sooner rather than later. But most people have a market. If you're already making some money or you're getting some people interested, you probably have a market. But you want to make sure you have a compelling story. You want to make sure you're hitting all those numbers we talked about. So that answers your question. Let's see. I'm just going to take one more question and I'm going to move on. And I'll try and, I'm not going to answer everyone's questions. If you have more, if I feel like a question can be answered in a strategy session, then I'm just going to bank on you to apply for the strategy session because you have to respect Bill and I's time in that regard. But I'll try and get to the other questions, and they're short questions, easy to respond. I'll respond by email, I promise you. Okay, and Bill will do the same thing too. Next question here. What are the facets of strategy that we should do? Okay, that's a good question. First one I would look at is a mission statement. Now, a lot of people poo-poo the mission statement, but if you really get a good mission statement that's short and concise, it's the best thing you can ever have because it will help you decide philosophically and clearly in your mind what kind of clients you should go for, what kind of branding you should have, what kind of objectives you should focus on, what kind you should not focus on. See, there's a psychological, philosophical component of this that you cannot ignore for yourself. If you don't feel aligned with your objectives, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to spin your wheels, probably. Someone asked Warren Buffett one time, how did he become so wealthy? Without blinking, looked back at the interview, he said, unlike most people, I have all my gears going in the same direction. He has his values, his results, his objectives, his philosophy, all going in same direction. You want to have that for yourself. So the mission statement. The second is you want to look at your goals, both long-term and short-term. Again, come up with 4, maybe 1-year goals or 5-year goals, 10-year goals. I have 400-year goals too. I know that's maybe a little too much for you, some of you, or most of you. At least for 1 year, have 4 goals, objectives, 4 max. Don't try and make it more than that. You'll get too overwhelmed. And then break it down into medium-term goals every month. What are the objectives you want to hit? Again, a maximum of 4. Good start if you do that. And if you come to us with those 4 objectives for the year in a strategy session, we can actually help you craft and fill in the dots very well for you. It's the stuff that my coach did for me in his first session. I was flabbergasted. I didn't realize even as an engineer, that we could do such cool stuff in terms of planning. If you're feeling stuck, some of the best things to do is take some time away, strategize, plan, and even if you spend a day or 2 days or even a week from taking activity, that's money and time well spent. Okay. Best advice I ever got is doing that. I guarantee you that. Okay, I think we've covered it all. Again, we want to do our best to really close the gap here as much as possible. So make sure you go to that site, myvipss.com, scroll to the bottom, fill out the form, and click the submit button, and we'll get back to you, I assure you, by end of Monday, and set up a time, schedule a time for us to talk, and make sure you do that. Bill and I are very, very committed to closing this gap for people as soon as possible. Not all of you are probably going to work with us because you just may not be ready. It takes a fair amount of commitment to do this. But if you're ready, you're willing to invest the time, money, and energy with us, I can promise you, you won't find two better people to work with. And I know because I know I'm in the coaching industry. I don't mean to belittle any other coach, etc. But between Bill and I, we have more than 80 years, probably, sad to say, or I should say probably about 65 years of combined experience. Very difficult to get. We've gone through a lot. We've been where you're at. We know all the nuances. We don't know everything, but we know enough to help you. So if you want to move ahead, you want to apply for that VIP session, myvipss.com. What we cover in that session is your biggest challenges and roadblocks. The greatest benefit is to clarify your vision and set you in motion towards your specific goals. Sometimes just having that is inspirational enough, but it's not enough. Inspiration's not enough, but it's motivating. It'll get you out of the stuck spot you may be in. Maybe you're already doing pretty good, but you need to get to that next level. Do what I did when I signed up for my coach many years ago. It was a big gulp in my throat, but I did it. This is a free session. The reason we want to make it free because we want to make it low risk. But you got to apply for it. You got to give the right data to us so we can make sure we approve you. Okay, so make sure you do that. There are very limited spaces, and we're not trying to say this because we're talking out of our left mouth. It's just true. Bill and I are very picky about our time. Bill has a lovely daughter and a family, and I do too. I value my free time. I value my committed time for my personal life, and you should as well. And I hope that you respect our time too. But if you feel like you really need this help, then you should really definitely apply as soon as possible. There's no pressure to buy anything. We don't believe in that kind of crap. Excuse my French, but it's true. Intention is for you to get clarity and right direction. So even if you don't do anything with us, that's fine. We want you to improve and move ahead because in the future, you're probably going to be a good client of us and you're going to refer us to other people. So we don't mind doing that as long as your application makes sense. Okay. Committed action is the difference between urgency, which creates more aliveness and results, rather than the emergency of constant suffering distractions. That's the emergency life. Most people, or a lot of people, live in emergency, not urgency. Urgency is where you feel life is urgent. I got a short life, man. I got to make the most use of it. That's important to have. And that kind of passion, so rare, but you can have it. You can have it too. If you already have it, I say, great. You can increase it if you want to. If you don't have it, then it's time to move fast. You got to light a fire underneath you, as one of my coaches said. If you don't light that fire, it ain't going to happen, or it will take a long time to make it happen. By that which time, it may be over. I'm trying to scare you a little bit, but not scare you too much. But I'm scaring you in a true manner. If you don't put enough urgency into this, it could take a very long time for most people. I want to announce the next webinar. Bill's going to be doing that next Saturday, the 25th. He's going to talk about how to fill up your rooms with people who want to listen to you at your live events and speaking events. I know I've gone over, but again, I want to thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. Make sure you go to myvipss.com and sign up for that strategy session. Let me check here to see if there are any real critical questions. Right. Blog versus, okay, let's see. I see. Good question here. Blog versus product. How to balance the two so that it's not off-putting for my readers. Right now, the blog is the priority. I intend to place the product in one of the insights. What's your take on that? Well, the first thing to understand is your clients, your customers. See, I understand this question, and I know you want to have an immediate answer. My recommendation is come on a strategy session. I'm not trying to evade the question. I'm just saying it's probably a lot more complicated. You need to understand what pain points of your customers. See, if you understand your pain points and you address the pain points, believe me, your clients, and the people who read your blog are not going to think you're trying to sell them. They're going to feel like, wow, this guy is lifting the burden off my shoulders. My God, I got to go talk to this guy. See, you see what I'm saying? You just don't want to have an interesting blog. You want to have a blog that serves people, that has people go, my God, I never thought of that. I never thought of asking that question. I wonder what else this person could tell me so I can learn from him, right? So my point is, if you want to distinguish between a blog and a product, I think what you're really trying to ask is, how can I distinguish between true service, truly serving people who come to mind, rather than just trying to force a product down their throat? I think that's what you're asking, and I believe that's right. If you, like us, like Bill and I, we are firm believers in trying to solve problems. Come from that. List out a problem, say you got a solution. Don't give the whole kit caboodle, because then you won't be able to sell anything. It's crazy, right? And besides, it would disserve them to give them everything, because I promise you, they're probably not going to do everything because they're too overwhelmed. See, most people are like that. But if you give them just the right amount, they'll be pretty happy. They'll go, wow, I see some hope at least. The sun's coming out. For most people, it's dark, cloudy. See, for you in your world, you already are an expert. The sun's even coming out more now, right? And you're an expert. So you may think that stuff is not useful, but I guarantee you, majority of your readers don't even have a clue about what you're talking, even though you may have said it 5 or 6 different times. Bill and I are constantly surprised at how people come and ask us some fundamental question. Then we realize that they still are dealing with the same problems that we dealt with many, many, many years ago. You're in the same spot. So you want to be patient with people and keep presencing problem, pain point, solution. Problem, pain point, solution. If you see Bill's blogs, etc., if you come and talk to us in our strategy session, we'll give you a very clear guideline on how to do that. Okay, so I hope that answers that. Yeah, thank you very much, ActiveWits.com. Great course, class that deals with learning to learn. Very good point. Meta learning. Very important to learn as an entrepreneur, as a blog writer, etc. As an author. I wrote my first book in 13 hours, spread out over about 2 weeks. 13 hours total. Okay. I thought that was short. I wanted to get it. Actually, I thought it was too long, brother. I wanted to get it done in 6. It's only 100 pages. I thought, well, it's not a big deal. I got it done in 12 hours. The reason is I just managed myself and I learned from the best. I followed what I learned. Everything that I teach you, you can do as well. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions here? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think the other questions have been answered. Okay, great. All right, well, I think that's it. I appreciate your time and your kind attention. And there's a quick question here. Do you do business coaching? What's your rate? Well, you want to come to the strategy, do the strategy session. I'm not trying to evade the question. Everyone wants to find out how much business coaching is. It depends. But Bill and I are offering a very great deal that you will like. And it's much more affordable than our individual business coaching programs. But you want to do the strategy session first. And we insist on that because we want to make sure if you're going to work with you and give you a really good deal on coaching, time, this program for the next 1 year that we're going to start in September, it's going to go for a year. It's they call the Influencer Academy. I think it's the best. Okay, forgive my swearing. The best damn program out there. Really, it is. It has to be because you got two top-notch coaches, specialists in their field. Me in the area of execution, good execution from a plan to reality, fulfilling your dreams. Bill in terms of his content marketing know-how. Uh, if you follow what we tell you to do, it's a very good chance you're going to hit some outstanding numbers in your site within the next 1 year, and at a very affordable price and good return on investment, which is how Bill and I like to operate. We look at return on investment. So instead of asking what's your rate, you want to ask what's the return on investment. Come to the strategy session and let's find out, let's work through that. Okay, again, I'm not trying to evade the question, I'm actually giving a better answer. Make sure you apply for the session rigorously. Don't give short answers because we're looking for people who are really committed to something, okay? So make sure you give some good details. It's heartfelt, it's something you're willing to commit to, and we'll work with you, okay? And we'll help you answer those questions. Let's see. Where will the strategy session be held? More than likely, it will be held over the phone. If you're nice to us, we can. I'm kidding, but if you're in the area, and we could actually schedule it face to face as well. So that's again, the first thing you want to do is go apply for the session. We'll figure out where do you want to meet. If you want to come to lovely Santa Cruz, or want to meet in Los Altos or Los Gatos, that's fine. If you're in the area. If not, we'll be doing it by phone. Okay, so if that answers that question, I'm sure it does. Again, you want to look at more important question, and I'm not trying to belittle any of these questions because they're good. They are very good questions. But the more important question is to ask, what do you want to get out of the strategy session? Because it's going to be about an hour probably. I mean, you say it's about 45 minutes. We've gone to about an hour and 15 with some people in the past. It's not the length of the time. It's really what you're going to get out of it. What you're going to get out of it is clarity in terms of your vision, where you want to go, what you should do in the next 1 year, what you shouldn't do in the next 1 year, your target markets. Now, we're not going to, obviously in an hour, we're not going to get you the whole detailed plan. It's just not going to happen. But we'll give you enough to get you have a fire underneath you again, if that's what's missing. And if there's already a fire, then we're going to give you more fuel. And if there's already more fire and fuel, we're going to give you more steering mechanism to get you more on track in a direction that really makes more sense for you. So almost no chance you can go wrong. It's an hour. What do you got to lose? Well, the only thing you got to lose is the time you spend in filling out the form and making sure it's a good form. Make sure it's a good form, it has good data. So Bill and I don't scratch our heads going, I don't have an idea what this guy wants. You want to be clear what you want. The old Chinese saying, be careful of where you're heading because you may get there. You don't know where you're heading, well, you may get there, which is nowhere. So you want to be clear where you want to go, at least have a rough direction. If you're not clear of a rough direction, indicate that you're not clear about a rough direction, but maybe the goal would be in the next 2 months to get a clear direction, clear set of objectives, clear target market, and that's a sufficient place to start. Okay? So make sure you fill out those numbers and the form. I cannot emphasize the form importance enough. Remember, you don't want this webinar to be like a lot of other webinars or parties that you go to. You hear some nice, cool information, and you go, well, it's really nice, cool information. Did you hear that Deepak Chopra said this and that and that? He said, I can be happy if I do these 3 things. Oh my God, wow. Oh, are you going to do those 3 things? I don't know. It sounds really kind of fun, but I don't know. That's what I call bukaka thinking. Bukaka is a technical term that means, bukaka. Bukaka is nonsense. You want to avoid that kind of bukaka. If you're serious, then get serious. If you're not serious, that's fine. At least you're clear. You're not serious. See, if you're serious about this and getting something done in the next 1 year, and you want to change the direction you're heading, if you're not getting results and you want to get more results, then It's a definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results but getting the same, then you got to change something somewhere, your actions. But the most important thing is not just actions. You got to change your investment mentality. See, this is what changed for me in 1991. Was the biggest turning point. Was I saw, I was sick and tired of struggling, trying to figure out my business and getting additional income in. At that time, the average income for electrical engineers, which is what I was about $40,000 in Orange County. Not bad. My company was great. They treated me very well. I was very happy with what they were doing. Great bosses, fantastic. Couldn't have wished for anything more. But I wanted to make more money. I was struggling with that, and it was a struggle, and I had to figure something out. So it got to the point where I just said, you know what? If I don't invest in this and try and figure out how to make this $1,000 a month every month and pay my coach, then I'm really nothing in business. I got to do it. Now I'm not advocating taking stupid risks. I'm not about that. But I am about taking a risk if you're willing to put the time, energy, roll up your sleeves and change things. And if you want to do that, then come and talk to us. This is a repeat question. Yeah, I know, Bill. Been going on for longer than an hour. But I think it was good. All right, great. So again, I want to thank everybody's for their time, and we're going to end the webinar right now. We look forward to seeing you in the strategy session. Thank you again for your time, and we'll see you again on Monday for the live event in Los Altos, and next Saturday, the 25th. Don't forget to come, especially even if you're not interested in learning how to speak. Believe me, Bill's going to talk about how you can fill that room up with people who want to hear you talk. Now, I've had rooms where I've just had 15 people and I made a lot of money. I'd rather do that than fill a room up with 30 people. Bill's going to show you how to do all that. Okay, so make sure you come for that. We're going to send you reminders to make sure you haven't. I'm pretty sure you must have opted in by now. If you're not, you couldn't have gotten to this webinar. But if you opted in, you will get all the reminder messages. It's been great talking with you. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about what I do, as is Bill, very much so, my partner in crime here. And Bill, I know can't hear you, but I acknowledge you for being my business partner in this, and look forward to working with all of you. Take care. Have a great day and have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Make sure you fill out that myvipss.com. Go to myvipss.com if you haven't right now, and fill out that strategy session. And we'll be talking to you very, very soon. Take care. Have a great day.